later on after he got standard, but he never said that.
If I see somebody else confirm it, I'll believe it. But
has been traded. I thought they were messing with him. I thought so too, but then I saw the video. This is not a drill.
Oh my goodness!
This is not real, bro. Yeah, y'all niggas got it, bro. Y'all niggas got it.
Yeah, I'll be right back. I'll be right back.
Oh my God! Because it doesn't, it quite literally doesn't make any sense.
Wait, hold on. The Mavericks GM, Nico Harrison, said, I believe that defense wins championships. He told ESPN regarding his motivation to trade Luka for AD. I believe that getting an all-defensive center and an all-NBA player with a defensive mindset gives us a better chance.
The Lakers moving away from him, what does that say in terms of their message to LeBron? LeBron James is 40 years of age in his 22nd season.
Nico, what is going on?
To compete for a championship. Anthony Davis himself was on the record saying...
This is the full trade right here. Luka going to the Lakers with Maxi Cleveland and Markieff Morris. The Mavericks are getting AD, Max Christie, and a 2029 first-round pick, just one pick for Luka Doncic. And the Jazz are getting JHS and 2 second-rounders. Tim McMahon, we talked about this. I believe that defense wins championships. That's the Mavs GM, Nico. I believe that getting an all-defensive center and an all-NBA player with defensive mindset gives us a better chance. We're building to win now and in the future. I can't. If you're trying to win now, there has to be another deal. And I'm not, this is no disrespect to Kyrie, but like, that's way more offensive workload that Kyrie has to hold now. So what, like, you can't say you want a win now situation, but you were just in the finals. That makes no sense to me. I get everyone's reporting it. I'm just telling you like why I'm not reacting right now, because it quite literally does not make any sense for the Dallas Mavericks to trade a 25-year-old because of potential conditioning issues or because he's not going to receive a max contract unless they are under the influence that Luka might not have signed long-term because the super max contract might not have been on the table. But if you're Dallas, Luka is 25, 26. 25, 26 years old. When he is healthy and playing, he is one of the top 3, at worst 4 best players in the NBA at 25, 26. You're telling me you not only did not tell Luka, but you are under the influence of what? For anyone to believe strongly that the progression of the development of a 25-year-old will stop at 25 is fucking ridiculous. And if any organization should know that, it would be the Mavericks, because they saw the development of Dirk Nowitzki. So there's just no way that, because who Dirk was at 25 was significantly different from who he was when they finally won a championship. In particular, how he got his buckets, how he dealt with pressure from defenses, his conditioning, is who he was as a player. He was a completely different player from when he was 22, 25 to where he was at when he finally won a championship. And even then, it took a very uniquely constructed roster to get to that point. Trading away a 25-year-old because you think that he has flaws that are too great to overcome, and most of them are flaws that a lot of players just develop over time. They develop improvements over time. That to me does not make any sense. Also, punting on the idea of being part of that process doesn't make any sense. Trading for a player, and again, I love AD, but trading for a 31-year-old Anthony Davis, who I think will be 32 in March or May, one of the two, trading for AD when the other piece on your team is Kyrie, and you believe that this is a win-now move, how more win-now can it be than making it to the finals? You made it to the finals. I like the pairing of AD and Kyrie, but that's not enough to do anything. So unless they're willing to make another trade, maybe to go get Jimmy Butler to say it's a 3-star type of thing, or maybe somebody saying Curry, I don't really know. But Kyrie and AD, that's not enough.
This upcoming summer, a massive extension. We have seen Luka Doncic over the last few years deal with injuries. There's been a lot made about his conditioning and how he is, but that's something the Mavericks have had to manage and handle year after year. But at the end of the day, he is Luka Doncic. He is a stud in every way, and that's why it is certainly fascinating that the Mavericks ended up deciding to trade him, but this is clearly something that they feel Anthony Davis is better suited for this team to win a championship. They just lost Derek Lively for an extended period of time, potentially the next 3 months.
Everyone in the NBA community has to stop acting as if like this trade makes sense. Everybody needs to stop doing that shit. Everybody has to stop acting as if like there's rational like mind state behind trading a 25-year-old superstar for a 31-year-old who I love AD, but the cap to where Anthony Davis is a player is already met. And as much as I love him, I know for a fact him pairing with Kyrie does not translate any higher than what the Mavs just reached last year. It just does not. And the way that they're going to run and function that offense is going to be around the idea of just making AD a lob threat anyway, with a worse passer with Kyrie. So getting in front of a camera and acting as if like it makes sense, you can rationalize why trading Luka Doncic, please stop. It's a bad trade. It's just a dumb trade. It's a really, really, really dumb trade.
Between the 3D scan and getting analyzed on the treadmill, the fit expert showed me what was causing my pain. I needed extra support and found me the perfect fit. Now I'm finally back to being the dad who can keep up with my girls, pain-free. True vision.
Trade. There's not an organization that should exist that's willing to forfeit a 25-year-old. And if the contingency or the hang-up or the pause, the hesitation was, hey, I don't want to have to pay Luka Doncic a supermax contract. Are you fucking serious? And I love AD. I'm not going to act as if like I'm just throwing AD out of the window because I'm not. That's not the case. AD is an amazing player. But at 31, hell, he's not playing right now. But at 31, in a scenario where it's going to be effectively a 1A, 1B situation with him and Kyrie, I don't know what this looks like. I don't know what this looks like from a Maverick situation. Okay, so let me also say this as well, because let's go to the Lakers side for a second. So the Lakers can do a couple of things with this. But I think it's undeniably under the context of they probably know that next year is LeBron's last year in the NBA. They probably know that LeBron is about to retire. Like I think that's becoming a bit more clear. I go as far as to say they might even know that LeBron is going to retire this year. Like that. That's how. There's just no way that you would ever leverage what you got going on right now for LeBron not to make a long-term commitment, or at least have conversations. So, if you are the Lakers, I don't even believe that this is let's figure out what we can do this year. It is undeniably we needed to get something more solidified for the next 7 to 10 years, and Luka was that. You can't trade Bron because Bron has a no-trade clause unless he says he wants out. So if I am the Lakers, and this is where, again, this goes into organizations being forthcoming, upfront, and honest with themselves. They look into the mirror and they ask themselves, hey, where are we at as a franchise and where are we going to go? And I'm not going to sit here and act as if, like, if I was in that situation, that I would say no to this trade because it would be obvious. But I think the Lakers came to the conclusion and said, hey, the 5 that AD may be looking for, this hypothetical roster that we may have to piece together for things to be functional to the point where we believe that we can win a championship, that's not real. Like, we're not going to be able to get that 5. It's at least, especially with the idea of us not trading Austin Reeves, we're not going to be able to get that player. Do I think that a duo of Luka and LeBron can make a lot of noise in the postseason with the right team surrounding them? In my opinion, yes. I genuinely think that it can. Reeves, I love you, Reeves. You've been amazing for us, but you got to be gone now because now the ball handler that needs to be put next to LeBron and in theory to keep this team still competitive is here now, and it has to be replaced with a bunch of like 3-and-D players and defensive oriented players. It just quite literally has to be. It has to be. And so, to answer the question of what the Lakers do next, they weren't going to trade Austin because they needed a second ball handler. So if now the idea is we can get the 5 that we're looking for, but we have to move Austin. But of course, we need to figure out what the rest of the roster is going to look like. But if you just found yourself quite literally a significantly better version of Austin, then I don't know what we're talking about. Furthermore, like somebody said in the chat, everyone is saying that we don't have a big now. Nigga, the whole hesitation for a lot of the players that we were not able to get was because we weren't willing to trade Austin Reeves. At this point, nigga, just trade Reeves. Okay, some more breaking news here from Brett. Apparently, a rift had been forming between Anthony Davis and the Lakers management, especially after his sit-down interview with ESPN. This trade just came together in the last few hours with nobody around the league knowing about it. I don't really think that's necessarily true because Anthony Davis has made his opinion very, very loud and vocal about playing next to a 5. So the news about AD want to play next to a center, that's not new, right? Even if there was a rift in between the Lakers and AD because he did this, maybe they felt like this was a bit too far. They've been trying to make moves and maybe they felt like, hey, outing us in ESPN really was a bit too far. That still doesn't necessarily amount to how we got to where we are right now, because it doesn't matter how frustrated the Lakers may have been from a front office perspective. There's never a moment where you think you're going to sit here and say, I'm so frustrated with Anthony Davis right now. I'm so sick and tired of AD. I'm going to pick up the phone and call Dallas to figure out if I can trade it for Luka. That doesn't happen. That does not happen. That's not what occurred. The team that would have to be participating or initiating these transactions would have to be the Mavericks, because no one in the NBA would even think to themselves, oh man, let me call and see if Luka's available. No one would ever think that. The Mavs would have to come to them. I'm not necessarily certain or committed to the idea of everything that is being stated right now, but I will say this. Rob Pelinka, the arguments of him sitting on his hands, the arguments of him not putting things into its proper perspective, the argument that he is just this terrible general manager, that shit gotta get the fuck out of the window. Those arguments are fucking done. Because the only way that any GM would ever have the balls to make a move like this is because they understand what's going on. They took advantage of a situation that presented itself. So Shams dropped the article itself, so we can probably get a little bit more information here. The trade talks were initiated by Dallas, league sources tell ESPN. So there's that. It began a few days ago. Harris and Rob Pelinka have a long-lasting relationship dating to when Harris was Kobe Bryant's marketing management. Okay. Here we go. The Mavericks were motivated to move Doncic because of his constant conditioning concerns. Wow. There have been significant frustrations within the organization about Doncic's lack of discipline regarding his diet and conditioning, which team sources considered a major factor in his injury issues. Wowzers. Though Doncic was relatively svelte by his standards when he reported to camp, his weight ballooned to a high of 260? Wow. 260, Luke. That's crazy. Wow. He sat out 5 games in late November when the Mavericks listed him with a sprained right wrist, an extended absence to allow Doncic to focus on his conditioning. Wow, they gave him even more time. That's ridiculous. Doncic has been limited to 22 games this season because of various injuries as well. Then we got the right calf sprain. So here we go. Doncic was in line to receive a 5-year, $345 million contract this summer, but because of the trade, he is no longer eligible for the Supermax deal. We know that as well. But yeah, that's actually pretty crazy. So it's true. It's true. The Mavericks came to the Lakers trading Luka. They felt as if like his conditioning was a significant problem, and this is all that they really got. So now I can confidently say this is the worst trade I think I've seen in quite some time. Let's be clear here for a second. Luka having conditioning problems, not a surprise. Luka coming into training camp or first couple of weeks of the season out of shape, not a surprise. When you look at Luka, that's been a concern. his defensive motor, how active he is on that side of the floor, not a surprise. That was an issue that we saw in the finals as well. But the fact that Luka can get to the finals, get to the conference finals twice in a 3-year period, even with these issues, really does speak to the volume of how great Luka is.
Texas was waiting and wondering.
And like I said earlier, there's absolutely, positively no way you believe that someone who is at the age of 24, 25, who he is as a man then is who he's going to continue to be for the remainder of his career. I just don't see that at all. And if I am an organization that has a 25-year-old on my roster, and the biggest complaint I may have about him is his conditioning, and that's the reason why I may not want to give him that $345 million contract, respectfully, Luka could have been in the back smoking crack. He could have been shooting up heroin. He could have been on cocaine. He's going to get that max deal. He's going to get that max. Because if you're telling me he was a crackhead getting to the finals, well, I guess I'm going to sign a crackhead to a max deal. Because Luka being able to perform at that level, though he's dealing with his weight and conditioning issues, means that all I need to do is convince him, get him more motivated to kind of get to where he needs to be in terms of fitness, and then we might get an even better player. That's a very fixable, that's fixable. That's very fixable. Secondly, fine, you want to move off of Luka. Trading him for a win-now situation for Anthony Davis to build what? To build what? Kyrie and AD, solid duo. What does that get you in the postseason? AD's next to a 5. That's great. But the rest of the roster is what? What? And on top of that, if I'm not mistaken, Kyrie only has one more guaranteed year on his contract after this season. And then AD only has 2 more years. So we're talking about trying to maximize a 2-year window, because after AD's contract, who knows what this team is going to look like. If you're going to move off of Luka, it shouldn't be, let me maximize these next 2 to 3 years with Kyrie being part of the duo. It should have been, well, if I'm going to move off of Luka, I need to go ahead and try to figure out how many draft picks I can get in the process to hit the restart button. Not me trying to maximize this 2-year window of a duo featuring Kyrie and AD. That's crazy. I ain't gonna lie. I now realize why a lot of fan bases get upset with the Lakers. Well, I've been known this. But this is like a perfect example of like, why would an organization ever do this? If I'm trading a 25-year-old, it's for me to restart. It's not for me to try to restructure with the second option in a duo with Kyrie. That doesn't make any sense. But third and finally, even if you were going to do it, bro, you didn't get the second pick that the Lakers still had. You didn't get any pick swaps. You didn't get Austin Reeves. You just got AD, Max, and a 2029 pick. Bro, that's like 4 years from now. If Luka signs an extension with the Lakers, he's still going to be on the team. The Lakers are still going to be good enough to where that draft pick doesn't really matter. And within the 4 years of all of this occurring, AD might not be on the team anymore. And even if he is, he'll be 36. So he certainly won't be the same player that he will be. And same can be said about Kyrie as well. This is a terrible trade. None of it makes sense at all. There's nothing that Luka could be doing outside of like catching a case that would have made me trade him. I'm actually blown away. Luka had to be doing crazy stuff behind the scenes. I mean, he had to be doing straight, plumb, dumb stuff behind the scenes, because there's just no rhyme or reason, bro. NBA players and the things that they get away with behind the scenes, the things that people eventually kind of leak about, all the vices that players have in the NBA. You're telling me that y'all believe that Luka's vices were so bad pertaining to his conditioning that you looked at a 25-year-old and thought to yourself, not only can we not fix him, but even though we just got to the finals with you, we don't believe that we can win a championship with you? That's crazy. That's crazy. Bro, Luka, dead ass Luka had to be shooting up heroin in the back. I don't know what could Luka have been doing.
So if you've purchased a faulty car in California and won a huge check like I've got here, here's what you start with Charles Barkley, who joins us now.
I want to see if he's going to guarantee. Man, whose glasses are those?
damn, what you having surgery?
Hey, Greg, leave me alone, man.
Blue light glasses? What are those?
What's up, Chuck?
I'm good, man. Hey, Greg, I'm going to disagree with you a little bit on the Kareem thing because you can't name me the guys Kareem got traded for.
Brian Winters.
That's not the same.
No, but you're right. You're right. It's not.
But I think the most shocking thing about this trade is a couple things. Number one, you never trade stars for stars. I'm trying to remember, I've been in the NBA for 40 years. Normally when you trade a star, you get a bunch of junk back. This is the first time I can remember where you got two all-NBA players traded for each other. I mean, obviously, I don't remember every trade, but I'm trying to think. You guys got a great staff there behind the scenes. I don't remember the last time we traded probably never when you traded an all-NBA player for an all-NBA player. So that's probably, and the second thing is, normally when stars get traded, you hear a lot of rumblings and you just put them up for the highest bidder. So I think those are the two first aspects of this trade that are shocking. Star for star, and normally they didn't go for the highest bidder. They went for a quick deal and it was over.
Would you have taken a different approach there? Would you have gone to other teams to at least see what's out there? And then if Anthony Davis is the best deal, the best player you can get, that package was the best, you go with it. But at least go see what's out there.
Well, in fairness, they got a hell of a player. Anthony Davis is an all-NBA player. That kind of goes back to what I said earlier. If they take another deal, they might get a bunch of draft picks and a couple role players. They got an all-NBA player back. So they, unless you get Joker, Giannis, I'm trying to think. All-NBA players.
Embiid be the only other guy, but you're not taking Embiid.
No, you're not taking Embiid with his injury history. So they got a really good deal. Now, listen, the Mavs obviously had to make a decision this summer whether to give him 5 years, $350 million. That's a lot of money to give a guy you don't think can stay in shape who's always going to be hurt. And let me tell you something. The only people know Luka Doncic is the Dallas Mavericks. Guys who've been with him for years or who are around him every day. He's a great player. He's a great player. But all us talking heads, they know something. They must know something we don't know. Because, listen, he's been hurt. Everybody complains about his conditioning. But once you give a guy 5 years, $350 million, y'all are stuck together for life. So this is going to be a great trade to see what happens the next X amount of years. I think the Mavericks are a win. Because, listen, I don't know who the second best team in the West is. The Oklahoma City Thunder are terrific. But I actually think, in my opinion, the Mavs are in that conversation as the second best team there right now. And the Lakers got what they wanted. They got a superstar going forward. I do think this kind of sets the end to the LeBron James making all the decisions. They're like, hey, we love you, LeBron, but we're going to start what's doing best for the Lakers. That's what I got out of this trade from a Lakers standpoint. Because I don't know if they didn't come tell LeBron, because number one, Clutch Sports is Anthony's agent. But it seems like to me, they're like, hey, you know what? LeBron's on his last legs. Let's start getting us a star for the future. And it's going to be fun to talk about this trade, sit back and watch who wins the trade. I think both teams have to win a championship to say they won the trade. Both teams have to win. The only way you can win this trade if you win the championship. I saw Nico say they probably got a 3 to 5 year window because Kyrie's great, Anthony's great, and they got a really good team down there. The only downside with Luka being 25, they probably got a 10-year window. But whoever wins the championship is going to be the winner of this trade, plain and simple.
Chuck, you hit it on the head, and that's what you're saying is kind of where I am. Like, I think it's a really good trade for both teams for different reasons. Because I think in Dallas's case, Dallas is win now mode, and you heard Nico talk about he fits their timeline. Him and Kyrie are in essence the same age. They got a really good roster, and the one issue Anthony Davis has always had is I want to play my natural position, the 4. Well, they got a two-headed monster at the center position with Lively and Gafford. I feel like, to your point, I feel like they are, if they stay healthy, that they are built to be that team in the Western Conference. OKC has been amazing, but they match up. They're going to be hard for people to score on because they don't just have great bigs. They got great bigs that can play at all 3 levels. When you talk about a young, lively Anthony Davis, as great as he is defensively, he's also really good offensively. He's a guy that can get you 30 a night in a matchup nightmare. And for the Lakers with Luka, they've now got a new face of the franchise. That guy is box office. And I think I guarantee you, and Chuck, you can speak to this, it probably humbled him a little bit to be traded like that because he thought he had the keys to that franchise, which he did. But there were definitely rumblings that they weren't thrilled with his approach to the professionalism of taking care of his body and investing in himself in a way where they felt comfortable. Because you know this, Chuck, they didn't have a problem paying him the money. If Luka hadn't shown them that maybe he wasn't as committed to his body, I don't think we'd ever be in this situation. But for that is why this deal ultimately happens.
Well,
This bizarre salt trick will make you as hard as a steel bar, leaving your wife counting the seconds to feel you inside her. Most men come to my office expecting me to prescribe those blue pills, but I never do that. Not when this salt trick has already helped over 100,000 men worldwide get hard whenever they want. In fact, Cambridge University proved that this salt trick increases blood flow to your member by 432%. You just need a pinch of salt, a glass of water, and do this 15-second trick before going to bed with your lady. And even if you're 80 years old, you'll be rock hard whenever you want, for as long as you want. You can even throw your blue pills in the trash right now, because you'll never depend on them to get hard in bed again. Actually, instead of hoping your little buddy rises, it'll be so hard and firm, you'll be hoping it goes down. Because even after you reach the finish line, you'll still be as rigid as a steel bar. This way, you'll leave your wife with wobbly legs and get the satisfaction of seeing a huge smile on her face every night. This natural trick even worked for my patients over 80, and best of all, without side effects. Want to see how it works? I have a free video that teaches you the step-by-step process you can do right at home. Click now in the Learn More button below and watch it while still online. But let me warn you, watch this alone and with headphones, because it has some really spicy scenes. I recommend watching in a more private place, but don't wait too long, as I won't keep it available for very long. After all, this type of information is usually only shared in private consultations, so click the button below now.
We took the smartest, most effective strength training system in the world and made it stronger. Now lift up to 250 pounds of adaptive weight. Tonal Power Progress.
Luka has to do a better job with his body, Greg. Let's get that out the way. Listen, everybody's talking about it, so clearly he's got to do a better job of taking care of his body. But hey, listen, they had to make a decision. Do we give this guy $350 million and we stuck with him for the rest of his career? Number one, it probably was a shock. Wait a minute. It's still a shock to his system. it ain't like when my phone started going crazy last night, I actually thought somebody like this.
You thought it was DoorDash. You thought it was DoorDash?
No. No, you know what? I thought it. You know how these fake things come out when somebody died. These internet idiots. Well, they said somebody died and they did die. Like, this can't be true. Because I was actually watching the Lakers-Knicks, and I get this thing on my phone. I'm like, well, this is somebody playing a joke. Then I go to ESPN. They got college basketball on, and nothing's happened. Then I go to ESPN2, see my girl Shea Cornett, and I'm like, they're not even talking about it. And I'm flicking back and forth. I had 10 people texting me like, dude, I don't know anything. I'm just sitting here watching just like everybody else. Then I go back to Shay Cornett and she said, we have breaking news. And I'm like, damn, it was a shock. I mean, I'm telling you, I've been in here for 40 years, Greg. I've never been more shocked because there was no grumblings. I mean, everybody's been talking about Jimmy Butler and De'Aaron Fox for the last few days. And then you get 2 all NBA players. That's the thing. Like, I was a great player and it was all over the internet. So I'm so old I didn't have internet. It was all over the newspapers for 2 years. Nobody ever thought that Anthony Davis and especially Luka Doncic, especially the way AD's been playing, he's been all NBA. And Luka, he's been the face of that franchise from day one. Man, I don't think I've ever been more shocked. But hey, listen, I'm going to say this for the last time. Nobody knows Luka Doncic better than the Dallas Mavericks. And let me tell you something else, Greg. This thing is not going to be smooth in LA with him and LeBron because both of them want the ball 100% of the time. I think that's going to be, I don't know if, because, Luka does not move without the ball. LeBron does not move without the ball. There's going to be some serious growing pains when those two try to play together. Now, they're both great players, don't get me wrong. But LeBron wants the ball, and Luka definitely wants the ball. So it's going to be very interesting how that work out. And when Anthony Davis is healthy, it's going to be a seamless transition to Dallas, plain and simple. Because, he complains all the time about the 5. I don't even understand why he complains about the 5. Unless you're playing against Joker or Embiid, do we have any more big guys in the league?
It's a good question. I think you're spot on with that. I will say the other aspect of it, though, if you're the Lakers and if LeBron's a part of the near future, they can't win enough possessions with that roster. And to me, that's what it's going to come down to. Like, Luka and LeBron could get 30 each, but they can't compete
Greg,
on the backboard.
Hey, Greg. And they both can give up 30.
Yeah. Exactly. And they ain't got no backline help. They don't have, well, I will say they got Finney-Smith and Vanderbilt. That does help, but they still are going to struggle to control that backboard. That's where, as that roster is now. So I also, don't you get a sense, Chuck, that they're going to probably, the Lakers, have to do something else if they're trying to win now?
Well, they gave away their best player. They don't have anybody else to give away.
Wait a minute. Are those shades? Are your glasses turning color?
Man, leave my glasses alone. Hey, listen. Hey, kids at home, don't let people make fun of you. If they call you 4 eyes, don't worry about it. The most important thing is to be able to see. So I can see, Greg. I can see. Hey, Greg, me and you, I think I'm a little older than you, but you've been around. Have you ever been more shocked?
No.
Me either.
No. And I think that's and this is where you got to give Nico and the Mavericks a lot of credit because nobody saw this coming. Nobody. There is no scenario where anybody can honestly tell you they thought that this was a possibility. And I think that's why they were able to pull it off. And it's probably why, and you made a great point earlier, they weren't trying to rebuild. Normally when you trade that superstar, the team that's trading them, they're rebuilding. Yeah. They said, no, we wanted Davis because he fits our timeline. We feel like we can win now. And I think a lot of it is because as great as OKC is, they haven't proven it in the postseason yet. And it gives those other teams more confidence when you get to the postseason because they're going to be so reliant on young players. I think SGA is the MVP this year. I mean, we still got a little ways to go, but he's going to get my vote if this continues. And they've got a lot of great young talent, but you know this, Chuck, when you get in the postseason, coaching matters a lot and your ability to make adjustments. And one thing that Dallas has now with AD on that front line, they can play any style. offensively and defensively. Like, that's the thing that sometimes gets lost. People are discounting how great a player Anthony Davis is. That's all I've been hearing is, oh, the Lakers, they got fleeced. I'm like, are y'all smoking crack? I mean, Anthony Davis is one of the 3 best bigs in the league, and I would say, based on what we've seen from Embiid, he's one of the 2 best. And he's a guy that you can run your offense through as well.
It's 2025, and you're still using the same cable network? Frontier Fiber is here. Get this amazing deal before it's gone. Switch now for just $29.99 per month. Get free premium Wi-Fi and free expert installation. Frontier Fiber, good to go.
Fargo is your virtual assistant from Wells Fargo.
Oh, come on.
Fargo lets you do this.
Fargo, turn off my debit card. I found it. I found my card.
And also this.
Fargo, turn on my debit card.
Do you, Fargo? You can with Wells Fargo. What else can Fargo do? Quickly tell you what you spend on things like food.
Fargo, what did I spend on groceries this month?
Hey, Dad, can the guys stay for dinner?
No.
Learn more at wellsfargo.com/getfargo.
Well, and I listen, let me tell you something. And a pissed off Anthony Davis is probably even more dangerous than who he is right now because, you know, you talked earlier about Luka being shocked. AD's in shock too. He's probably playing the best he's ever played. And to get that call in the middle of the night or late night that you've been traded, like he had, like I say, man, I think both guys got to be in shock, to be honest with you. I mean, but Luka is obviously in serious shock, but AD's got to be shocked also. But Greg, I agree with you, man. OKC, they're my favorite to win this thing, but man, the Dallas Mavericks, they might have just became the second best team in the Western Conference because the jury is still out. I think Denver needs to make a trade because they need to get some bench help. The Rockets are so young. I'm not going to take the Rockets beating the Mavs in a 7-game series. The Memphis Grizzlies, I like their team, but man, Dallas, this is going to be a very fun thing to watch. Now what gets interesting is the De'Aaron Fox and the Jimmy Butler thing because everything got ramped up. This is going to be a fun next 3 days, buddy. Yeah. I cannot, because now you're like, if you're my Phoenix Suns, I'm trying to think who else is something.
Minnesota.
You got Minnesota. You got the Brandon Ingram situation down in New Orleans. You're like, somebody got to do something because the Mavs jumped to the front of the line. So now I think it's going to be crazy the next 3 days because Thursday's the deadline, obviously. But if you're like, wow, the Mavs went from mediocre to really good in one night. What can the Suns do? What can Minnesota do? What can the Lakers do? The Lakers got to do something else, in my opinion.
Chuck, before we let you go, I got to ask you this. You know, after you got traded to the Suns, like you're talking about, you won the MVP the next year, right? You talk about Anthony Davis being pissed off. Forecasting Luka Doncic over the next maybe season and a half, are we going to see the best potential version that we've ever seen of Luka Doncic? Because he's got to be pissed, like you said, too.
Well, first of all, he should be pissed because they called him fat. They would call him fat and lazy.
Why do you get mad when people tell you the truth, though? They do say the truth hurts. I take that back.
You know, I told this story. I wasn't getting to play my first year in the NBA, and Moses Malone pulled me aside. He told me I was fat and lazy. And I cried, Greg. I ain't going to even lie. I cried, but I was fat and lazy. And Moses took me under his wing, and I lost 50 pounds and became a Hall of Fame basketball player. Nobody has been capable of telling Luka that he needs to get in better shape. We've talked about, this ain't like something new. We've been talking about it for 2 or 3 years. He needs to get in better shape. And the Mavs made a decision. We're not going to give you $350 million because if you're not in shape now, you ain't going to be in shape when you get older. So they made that decision. They know him better than we do. It's easy. He's a great player. I think we all agree. But Nabil, he has to get in better shape. But it's going to be very interesting because I don't know if him and LeBron can play together. They're so ball dominant. They're both so ball dominant. LeBron is probably the best power forward guard combination ever at having the ball. And Luka has to have the ball. I don't think Luka's ever ran a play where he didn't have the ball. So it's going to be smooth sailing for Anthony Davis when he gets healthy because he's that great. But, man, it's going to be a big adjustment for Luka and LeBron playing together. So I think it's going to be a long-term play for the Lakers, a long-term play.
It's not easy being the one everyone counts on to keep your operation running. That's why at Grainger, we're here for you with professional-grade industrial supplies and fast delivery. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
All-NBA players have never been traded mid-season, much less with nobody knowing about it, what most are calling the most shocking trade in NBA history. Hard to argue with that breaking news as Luka Doncic, the reigning NBA scoring champion, he has been traded to the Lakers with 5 first-team All-NBA selections at the age of 25. Doncic was eligible for a Supermax extension this offseason, but not anymore. Traded just 8 months after leading the Mavs to the finals. As for AD, he's been vocal about returning to the 4. Well, he now gets 2 centers to play with in Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively as the Lakers lose an elite rim protector. Now, the full details of the trade are as follows. The Lakers get Luka, Maxi Kleber, and Markieff Morris. Dallas gets Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and LA's 2029 first-round pick. They had another first-round pick to give, but they didn't have to. Also involved, the Jazz getting a player and a few second-round picks. As senior NBA insider Shams Charania, who broke the news just after midnight, joins us now. So, Shams, why did Nico Harrison make just one phone call and make it to Rob Pelinka? If they wanted out of the Luka business, why not put him on the open market?
Yeah, Hannah, obviously stunning trade. And Nico Harrison, that Mavericks organization, if you're going to trade Luka Doncic, clearly they went and targeted Anthony Davis as the player that they wanted to move Luka Doncic for. That is obvious. There's a lot of relationships there within the Dallas Mavericks organization. Nico Harrison, Jason Kidd coached Anthony Davis as part of the 2020 Lakers team. And now allowing them to pair a big man in Anthony Davis with Kyrie Irving. And clearly, the Mavericks, right or wrong, we're going to find out in the coming months and years, they feel like having Anthony Davis on this team is going to give them a better chance to win a championship. Obviously, he's an all-NBA player, an all-defensive player as well at the big man spot. The last game he played for the Lakers, a 40-20 game. So, clearly, if you're going to move a generational player like Luka Doncic and you want a big man, they went and they went exactly for the player that they thought they needed and wanted, and that's Anthony Davis.
Yeah, Kyrie's playing so well. It's a very, very interesting team. And many assumed, you talked about the relationship going back to the Nike days with Nico Harrison and AD. But what about this relationship between AD and LeBron James, Clutch Sports? They won a title together. But you report that LeBron didn't even know about it, found out about it at dinner after the Knicks game. Why was that the case, that he was not involved in this?
You see the Lakers organization and the Mavericks organization between the head basketball operations person with the Lakers, Rob Pelinka, and the same with the Mavericks, Nico Harrison.
Hey neighbor, you switched to T-Mobile home internet yet? Trim your hedge. It's $35 a month with no price hikes. Damn! It runs on T-Mobile's wireless 5G network, so all you gotta do is plug in one cord.
T-Mobile 5G home internet, just $35 a month. And with Price Lock, we won't raise your rate on internet.
I did it. Oh! I switched to T-Mobile home internet, and I am loving it. Don't sneak up on me like that.
They had these trade talks in the last few days, and they handled this, and I think it's a sign of where this Lakers organization is at. Obviously, getting J.J. Redick, who's shown himself to be a great coach early in his coaching career, and allowing them to build and prepare for a potential post LeBron James, post Anthony Davis team. And Luka Doncic gives them the ability to do just that. For the next 10 years, they view Luka Doncic as the face of this organization. And this really sets them up post LeBron James in a lot of ways. And obviously everyone is rationalizing leaving the situation with Anthony Davis departing Los Angeles and leaving Los Angeles. It's hard to rationalize, but this is a move where the Lakers clearly felt they had to make the best decision, not for potentially their players, but for this organization.
Yeah, and you wonder just how much a guy like Luka Doncic will flourish under the influence of LeBron James, who has always liked Luka. Where does this leave the Lakers now? They have to get a rim protector at this point, don't they, Shams?
No doubt, Hannah, and this is something that the Lakers front office has been working on even before this trade, is figuring out, is there a center in the marketplace that they can go and trade for? And now they still have one first-round pick. The Lakers were able to keep. They had 2 first-round picks. They were able to keep one of them. They were able to leave this deal while still maintaining some draft capital. So they'll have a first-round pick to play with. They have a second-round pick as well that they can utilize in trades. So I do think that the Lakers organization will see what big man could be available for the right price. But clearly, they felt like Luka Doncic, they had to go all in and really not necessarily worry about figuring out the center. Because if you have a chance to get Luka Doncic, I'm sure Rob Pelinka and that Lakers organization was not expecting to hear recently that Luka Doncic is someone that they can go get immediately.
Yeah, that's a nice phone call, an incoming call to get, isn't it? Hey, do you guys want Luka? We saw so much reaction around the league. People were so shocked. What are you hearing from those who have reached out to you since you broke the news?
Hannah, people on both sides, from player camps, teams, coaches, players, everyone, locker room, other teams, other star players around the league, the line that I keep getting communicated to me is, this is the most shocking, most stunning trade in NBA history. Because not only statistically, according to the record books, this is the first time 2 All-NBA players have been traded for each other mid-season, but just, you don't see this happen in the NBA where a player 25 years old that's considered untouchable, untradeable, a face of the franchise, gets moved in the middle of the night for another player that's equally as coveted, 31 years old. So he's got about 6 years on Luka Doncic and Anthony Davis. Clearly a win-now move for the Mavericks, and for the Lakers, a move that they feel sets them up for the next decade. But no one in the NBA saw this coming. No one could have put this on their card in any way, shape, or form. No one thought Luka Doncic was going to be traded from the Dallas Mavericks. Everyone thought he was going to be in the same ilk of Dirk Nowitzki and play his entire career in Dallas. That was obviously what Luka Doncic wanted out of all this.
Yeah, we just showed some video of the Blazers finding out in real time and their expressions. And really your second post after you broke the news, when you said, yes, this is real.
They didn't believe me, Hannah. They didn't believe me. I didn't know what more to do.
Stephen A. Smith joining us now. All right, Stephen A., it's been about 10 hours since Shams broke the news. What is your perspective on this trade this morning?
Well, I think it's very interesting on a couple of levels. Number one, if you're the Dallas Mavericks, clearly you lost all faith in Luka Doncic. That's a story that's going to follow Luka for a long time. You're 25 years of age, your career, not just this season, but a career, 28-point-per-game scorer, a 28-8 player. You just guided the team to the NBA Finals, and they're saying sayonara to you. Why would they do that at the age of 25, scheduled to be 26 at the end of the month? It's because of his constant conditioning issues, the lack of focus and discipline when it comes to keeping himself in shape. This is a kind of thing that they talk about. Then when you look at the Dallas Brass, yes, you have head coach Jason Kidd. Yes, you have president of basketball operations and GM Nico Harrison. Let's keep that name, Nico Harrison, in mind. You were an executive at Nike for 19 years. Okay, you worked with Michael Jordan, you worked with Kobe Bryant, you worked with LeBron, you worked with an abundance of people. You're not only used to superstardom, you're used to players who are very, very much committed to being the greatest that they can possibly be. You lose a championship in the case of a Kobe Bryant or LeBron or anybody else a week later. You like, what the hell do we need to do in order to get ourselves back and to do what we can? In the case of Luka Doncic, you come in out of shape. And you've got people talking about you literally using the word fat to describe him. That certainly isn't the Dallas Mavericks organization, but beat writers and everybody else covering the Dallas Mavericks know that there's been conditioning issues, discipline issues, and what have you. So do you invest with a new ownership coming in that's no longer Mark Cuban, who doesn't have a majority stake anymore? It's Adelson family and those folks. 3 or 5 years, over in excess of $325 million, that was an investment that they were hesitant to make. That's the Luka Doncic side. The other side to this is it puts the ball in the hands of Kyrie Irving with Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis had been clamoring to be a 4 again, not a 5. Well, you've got Gafford, you got Lively and other folks in Dallas. Now he doesn't have to play the 5. He can play his natural 4 position. So you've got that inside-outside attack, even though Anthony Davis is stepping away from the basket. You've got a Kyrie Irving, who is a showstopper, who is box office when he is balling. And he obviously loves playing for Jason Kidd and Nico Harrison, 2 individuals he's had long relationships with. So the ball is in Kyrie Irving's hands now. Unlike Luka Doncic, let's understand that Kyrie Irving is a champion. Kyrie Irving helped LeBron James win the championship. He almost helped Luka win the championship and helping them get to the finals last year, averaging what he was averaging throughout the postseason. So you've got that element there. And then in Los Angeles, you look at Anthony Davis. He's gone now. It's LeBron James, one of 2 players in the NBA with a no-trade clause, him and Bradley Beal. If you're LeBron James, do you look at this team as a championship squad with conditioning issues and what have you involving Luka Doncic? We don't know what LeBron James may decide to do. Does he want to stay in LA? Is he going to ask to exercise that no trade clause or ignore it and just say, hey, let's move on. Let's move on to a different situation because I don't know if I'm going to win a championship right now. Those really are the big questions right now in regards to this trade. Luka is Luka, and he's going to be in Los Angeles, and that's a box office. He's a global iconic figure. The Los Angeles Lakers, they like that. And they know that they have somebody with box office appeal. So he is the future. LeBron James is the present and the past in the Lakers' mind right now. What will LeBron James do about that? That's a huge question mark, and that's where the intrigue lies.
If the Mavericks had some trepidation about Luka and getting in shape and everything, blah, 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 how do the Lakers figure to get around that issue?
Well, if you're the Los Angeles Lakers, understand that there's a level of urgency that's no longer there. Luka Doncic has been hurt. He was expected to be back as of February 8th, but that wasn't even in the Dallas Mavericks' control from what I'm being told. Obviously, he has his own team, and he could say he's coming back February 8th, but that was going to be determined by somebody else. So because of that, now you're in Los Angeles. If you're the Los Angeles Lakers, yes, LeBron James is phenomenal and fantastic, as he showcased yet again last night against my New York Knicks, put on an absolute show. But he is 40 in his 22nd season. He is crawling, if not sprinting, towards being the past. If you're the Los Angeles Lakers and you're thinking about the future, Anthony Davis, is phenomenal and fantastic as he isn't necessarily box office. So you're looking at the Los Angeles Lakers, the business of being the Los Angeles Lakers. They need box office appeal. They need a reason for folks to walk through the turnstiles. And in that, you've got a 28-point-per-game scorer who's 25 years of age, who's a 6'7" point guard, can score at will on anybody, any damn time he wants to. Now you're asking him to represent Laker Nation, the brand that is Los Angeles and is the Lakers, and you're asking him simply to be dedicated and come there in shape. This could be a wake-up call for Luka Doncic because I'm sure he's not going to like hearing that he is somebody that was considered petulant and perpetually out of shape, having to work himself into shape. He was an individual that got ready as opposed to somebody who came ready, and there was a difference. And so if you're looking at it from the Lakers standpoint, you've got all the time in the world to get things straight with him because he is the present and the future. But that wasn't going to be the case in Dallas. They believe they have a legitimate shot to win a championship. They now have an elite player on their front court. They know they have an elite player in their back court. They were in the finals last year. They're watching OKC arrive. They know that the Houston Rockets are coming. The Memphis Grizzlies are nothing to sneeze at. Denver cannot be ignored. They felt they had to do something. And this is what their position is. Nico Harrison and Jason Kidd are about trying to capture a championship. They're not about trying to sit around and watch and spectate and watch Luka Doncic do his thing at his pace. As terrific and phenomenal as he is as a player, they believe they needed to upgrade. They certainly have done so defensively. Offensively, we shall see.
Dave, I've heard this in the reporting overnight. I'm going to ask you. You were with the Lakers last night in New York. LeBron and AD really had no idea this deal was going down?
Safe like repair, safe like replace.
Nobody likes a cracked windshield. But at least you can go to safelight.com and schedule a fix in minutes. Go to safelight.com and schedule a replacement today.
Safe like repair, safe like replace.
Under Armour knows athletes. It's the hard-working mentality that will get you there.
It means I can keep training, even in the dead of winter.
Look your play,
The best in the game.
Yeah, I mean, Anthony Davis was not in New York with the Lakers. He was back in Los Angeles getting rehabilitation on that strained abdominal muscle. And, you know, I'm told he was sending out text messages, being excited about the team's effort in his absence, getting that win in New York. When he learned about the news, LeBron, meanwhile, went out for a late dinner with friends and family in New York because the Lakers were staying overnight from Saturday to Sunday. And he found out initially on his phone from our Shams Charania's reporting about the deal. I'm told from there, though, Rob Pelinka made 3 calls in quick succession after the deal was agreed upon with Nico Harrison of the Mavericks. He called up on a joint conference call, J.J. Redick and Anthony Davis to share the news. Then he called Rich Paul of Clutch Sports. Then he called up LeBron James. And in a matter of minutes, everybody recognized how much the NBA landscape was changing right before their very eyes.
Wow, indeed. Oh, I want to ask you about Luka's not played since straining his calf again on Christmas Day. When do the Lakers expect to see Luka on the court?
Yeah, I mean, the Lakers are going to have a practice on Monday, I'm told, but there's still, you know, kind of things to be cleared, hurdles to figure out before they have a sense of when they're actually going to get to have him wearing a uniform. ESPN's Tim McMahon has reported that he was expected to be back in uniform sometime around the All-Star break for the Mavericks, and so you'd kind of carry that same timeline over for the Lakers. And same thing for Anthony Davis. You know, I was expecting at some point this week him to be back on the court for the Lakers. You had to assume that time would carry over for him as he joins the Mavericks as well.
All right, no AD. LeBron playing otherworldly, but he's 40. We have Luka coming in. What does this trade mean for the Lakers moving forward?
Well, one thing you have to consider is they still have a first-round draft pick that they did not include in this deal, and they can move that between now and February 6th to make this team better. The Lakers that played last night in Madison Square Garden didn't have Anthony Davis, and they played a freewheeling style, spreading the ball around, attacking specific matchups. J.J. Redick is, I'm told, looking forward to the, quote, fun challenge of figuring out a way to play with one basketball with 2 ball-dominant guys in LeBron James and Luka Doncic. And again, don't expect this to be the final version of this year's Lakers team. There is 4 days now between today and the trade deadline where the Lakers can continue to make some noise using that 2031 first-round draft pick that they used to think, oh, maybe that would be a really valuable draft pick that they had to hold on to for the post-LeBron years. Well, the post-LeBron years are now the Luka years. So it's not like you're going to be bottoming out. You're perennially going to be a contender. So now the math on that future first-round pick kind of changes, perhaps, for the Lakers front office.
Wow. Lots to see in the hours before the trade deadline. I hope you get some sleep. Dave McMenamin, we appreciate the info this morning from Sports Center.
The insider Ramona Shelburne joins us now from Los Angeles. This happened, Ramona, just after 9 o'clock your time, in the wee hours of the morning here out east. How would you characterize the reaction to this trade from the Lakers side?
Listen, I was out celebrating my friend's birthday when I saw the tweet, and I did the same thing everyone else who knows Shams Charania did, which is text him to make sure he wasn't hacked. And, is this real? Right? But I'm glad you just ran that highlight of all the players the Lakers have traded for in the past because it speaks to what I'm about to talk about. And it's this concept of Lakers exceptionalism. Okay. There's a reason why the rest of the league does not like the Lakers. It's because they always seem to find a way to pull off trades and get generational talent like this. How did they end up with Kobe Bryant? How did they end up with Pau Gasol 17 years to the day of this Luka Doncic trade? When the reaction to that Pau Gasol trade was very similar to the one I got last night from league executives and from players around the league, which is simply, wait, how is this not available to everybody else? How did he end up on the Lakers? And there's this sort of jealousy around the league that the Lakers get deals like this. And I think it's, look, I've lived here my entire life. I grew up with the Showtime Lakers, and so I understand the makings of this. And you'll always hear fans talk about how they got Kareem or Magic, and whenever there's a star player in the league, Hannah, the Laker fans like to do this. They take their picture and they put a Lakers jersey on them, and the rest of the league hates Laker fans for doing that. But there's a reason why they do it. It's because the Lakers tend to pull off trades like this.
Yeah, and it's so interesting that they really didn't have to give up the farm. As Dave McMenamin just outlined, they still have assets to make another move. So can you lay out the landscape as it stands this morning for me, Ramona? Because you have a 40-year-old LeBron James coming off a triple-double, by the way, at the Garden last night to beat the Knicks. He has a player option for next season. So what questions in your mind are coming up for the Lakers?
Well, first of all, as Dave reported, LeBron heard about the trade like as it was happening, and there wasn't a lot of consultation. And I think that's important because my next question was, how does LeBron feel about this? Because as much as Luka Doncic is a generational talent, he is the future face of this franchise. He and LeBron have remarkably similar games. It's kind of mind-boggling to figure out how they're going to play together. I used to describe Luka Doncic as a player as LeBron James, but not as athletic, but better shooter like Larry Bird. Like he's a cross between those two guys. Well, now LeBron's going to play with Luka Doncic, and his nickname is Luka Magic. Do those two players work? Yeah. Do they both need? How are they both going to have the ball? And last year I remember sitting here reporting right after the trade deadline on the Lakers having conversations with the Golden State Warriors about a trade involving LeBron James, and those were real owner-to-owner conversations. Obviously, we saw Steph Curry and LeBron at the Olympics. So it feels like everything is still to come. There's a lot of reporting questions we all still have about how LeBron is going to process this. Usually when you pass the torch, whether it's David Robinson passing to Tim Duncan, there's an inter period. There's a period where there's one guy and the heir apparent is on the team for a while. This might be it. Is it 1 year? Is it 2 years? Is it a week? We're gonna find out, and that's what makes the NBA fun to report on. And I'll circle back to one other point. You have to understand how much this was family business. Okay, Nico Harrison, who is the general manager of the Dallas Mavericks, was Kobe Bryant's Nike rep when Kobe was at Nike. This was one of his biggest deals, was bringing Kobe from Adidas to Nike. Now he's the general manager of the Mavericks. Rob Pelinka was Kobe Bryant's agent. Those two have done millions of deals together. They have had a lot of conversations and a long relationship. And so when you think about how a trade like this gets done without anybody knowing, of this magnitude, it only happens between two men who have a long-standing relationship.
And by the way, how about the fact that LeBron at one point tried to recruit Luka to wear his shoe? Right? So that didn't happen, but it does speak volumes about how LeBron has viewed Luka since Luka's been in the NBA. It's fascinating. Thanks for breaking it down for us. I hope you have February 25th on your calendar there because the Mavs visit the Lakers that night. I'm sure you have that circled, Ramona. Thank you.
Yeah, I was already going to go, but yeah, now it's a lot more spicy.
Now taxes is getting up to $4,000 instantly.
America's best tire warranty. It's included with every set of tires, only at Les Schwab.
Breaking news on SportsCenter this morning, the Lakers and Mavericks making it a blockbuster night. Luka Doncic headed to the Lakers, Anthony Davis headed to the Mavericks in a seismic trade that shakes up the reigning Western Conference champion Mavs and gives LeBron James in Los Angeles a 25-year-old superstar who's been All-NBA first team for 5 straight years. This news of Shams' original post was so stunning that he had to put out another tweet saying, quote, "Yes, this is real." These are the details. Lakers getting Luka along with Maxi Kleba, Markieff Morris, Mavs getting AD, Max Christie, and the Lakers first rounder in 2029. The Jazz are also a third team involved to round out this deal. It's Gary Streisky, it's Randy Scott alongside SportsCenter AM on a Sunday morning, starting a very different way. The NBA blowing up the rundown for us. We have our senior NBA insider Shams Charania with us. Shams, how did this deal come together?
Guys, this is the most stunning trade in NBA history. That's what sources on all fronts, people involved around Anthony Davis, around Luka Doncic. This came together in the last several days. I'm told the Dallas Mavericks called the Los Angeles Lakers. Nico Harrison, the general manager of the Mavericks, called Rob Pelinka, the vice president of the Lakers, and offered Luka Doncic in a trade. Not for LeBron, not for Austin Reeves and picks, for Anthony Davis. And this never happens in the NBA where a player 25 years old, in the prime of his career, obviously about 6 years younger than Anthony Davis, who's 31 years old, also in the prime of his career. But Luka Doncic, he has the runway of the next 10 years to being the face of the Lakers. That's exactly why they made this deal. And from the Mavericks' perspective, it's going all in a win-now move. They really felt that they are better positioned to win a championship. Internally in that organization, they feel that Anthony Davis puts them in position more than Luka Doncic does to winning a championship. Will they be right? We're going to know in a matter of months, in a matter of the next 1 to 2, 3 years. But this is obviously just shocking, stunning. I think people in the league are still, I don't think they still understand what just happened. And I think we're all trying to figure out exactly what just happened.
That's such a proclamation that Dallas is making, given that last year these Dallas Mavericks were in the NBA Finals, obviously losing to the Boston Celtics. But this iteration of the Mavericks was right there. Shams, understanding that the NBA and their superstars, that is the league where your stars have influence on moves happening. Are we saying LeBron, Luka, AD and the sorts had no idea this was going to happen?
Gary, LeBron James had no idea this was coming. I know that for a fact. And Anthony Davis and Luka Doncic, after being informed of this deal a little bit before I reported it late last night, they were stunned, they were floored, they were shocked. Neither of them saw this coming. You think about it from Luka Doncic's perspective, like I say, he's thought of to be this untouchable, untradeable. This is a face of the franchise. You think about when the Mavericks drafted him, the similarities that you saw between him and Dirk Nowitzki. Dirk Nowitzki played his whole career there. Dirk Nowitzki still involved with the Mavericks organization, mentored Luka Doncic to an extent, but clearly something went amiss with the Mavericks and how they viewed Luka Doncic's future with their organization. He was eligible for a massive supermax extension, $70 million per year potentially. They clearly determined they did not want to give that to him, that they have to move in another direction and go get another player, a big man to pair with Kyrie Irving. But yes, LeBron James, he came into LA essentially with Anthony Davis. They had a strong 5+ year partnership. They got a championship out of it. They've always been intertwined as Lakers. And so now that he's not there anymore, this is obviously a situation where the Lakers feel like they have their face of the franchise. And what this means for the Lakers moving forward, I think it says a lot about how they view themselves and planning post LeBron James. That has already started in their minds. They are already continuing to move on. They still do have LeBron James on the roster though, and he is, arguably the greatest of all time. And so he's always wanted to play with Luka Doncic. We'll see how this looks.
But even LeBron James was not first team All-NBA in his first 5 NBA seasons. I mean, Luka Doncic going back to 2020, I should say. It's an all-time stunner, as we've established. The star power abounds, the ripples throughout the league yet to be felt. But what has the reaction been outside of LA, outside of Dallas, in the hours since you broke this news?
Yeah, I mean, my phone was getting flooded with team executives, with players, with agents, with all the people you could imagine. People trying to verify if my account got hacked. I mean, I think it goes to show, and there were a couple star players that I heard from around them and their camp. It's like, if Luka Doncic can get traded in today's NBA, I mean, who really is safe? And I think that's what goes to show. This was the most shocking trade in NBA history for a lot of people. Maybe in sports in America. I think that's how surprising it was, and I think everyone is trying to rationalize how the Mavericks could trade Luka Doncic at 25 years old. And Anthony Davis is a beast. I mean, the last game he will have played for the Lakers, he went 40-20. And so clearly the Mavericks believe in his ability to give them a better chance to win a championship than Luka Doncic. And only time is going to tell on whether that's going to be accurate.
I would have never thought Luka Doncic get traded at this age, mid-season. The NBA is a wild place, man. If he can get traded, then anybody's up,
At Grainger, we're for the ones who pay attention to every little detail. The ones who fuss, tinker, and sweat the small stuff. Because the tiniest thing can make the biggest difference when it comes to keeping business moving. We get it. We're the same way. Offering access to product experts to help you quickly and easily find what you need. So whatever your industry, you're always getting professional grade products. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
It's got to be the biggest trade I've seen since I've been in the league, or since I've been watching the sport. This is insane. So yeah, every other team might get confidence and say, I'll trade my, you know what I'm saying? My top players, a few of my top players. If this ain't working, but yeah, I'm still shocked.
KD saying what a lot of us can't say on live television as we welcome in NBA analyst David Dennis Jr. into the program. Dallas was concerned with Luka's injury history. You just heard Sham say the calf has been a nagging issue. So they went out and got Anthony Davis. You say what to that?
You know how nuts of a trade you have to be to upstage a Beyonce tour concert announcement? Like, that is how crazy this was. And to your point, there's so much going on about the Mavs that just did not make sense. Like, to your point about getting Anthony Davis because you're worried about Luka's injuries, you're trading away a guy who is locked into your franchise, who is 25 years old, who is all NBA. You can talk about his conditioning. He was 32, 10, and 6 in the playoffs last year. In the playoffs for his career, he has the second most points per game on average behind Michael Jordan. This dude got you to the finals. Moving on from him and not even getting the most that you can get, not getting all the Lakers picks, not getting Austin Reeves, not even opening this up to the rest of the league and saying, give me your best offer for anybody, because people are going to be lined up for Luka, and just calling the Lakers and saying, we specifically want Anthony Davis in the middle of the night and not talking to anybody else. None of this really makes sense. I don't care how bad this relationship and this situation had gotten between Luka and the Mavs. The way that they are moving and doing this trade is nonsensical, and more information is going to have to come out for me to understand why they're doing this, because Anthony Davis doesn't even make total sense with this roster. Their front court is loaded. They have Lively. They have Gafford. How is Anthony Davis going to spread the floor for Kyrie with those players right now? I don't get it, and I'm not sure what the Mavs are thinking here.
That's such a good point, because had the Mavericks opened this up to open bidding, they would have at least received, at the very least, a call from every single team in the NBA. They could have sweetened that pot to the nth degree. All right, we love headlines. We obviously love talking about them transactions and dissecting it for what it could be. On the actual court, which team, if any, ultimately gets better here, Dave?
Well, I'll say this. Let's start with the Mavs. Definitively, they have gotten worse. There's no way to say it besides that they've lost a top 3 to 5 player, and they've replaced him for a guy who's a little bit older, who's a little bit worse, and who does not necessarily fit. So we know that. And by the way, they don't have a lot of picks between 27 and 30 when they actually do start to get bad. So their franchise is sort of in peril right now because of this trade. But the Lakers, though, the Lakers is where this gets really interesting and really spicy. Particularly, we're talking about LeBron James right now, because for the first time in his 22-year career, a franchise is not beholden totally to LeBron James. The Lakers are not on the LeBron James timeline anymore. They're on the Luka Doncic timeline. He is the best player on the team. He is the future of this team. So the Lakers do have moves to make. Maybe they can get another big, but they're not. They don't have the same impetus to trade away all the picks and trade away some of that future that they would have when they're on LeBron's timeline to get a championship in the next year or two before he retires. Now he does not have the influence and the ability to tell the Lakers what he wants in the way that he did before. And the Lakers are not necessarily going to try to blow things up or move some of their future for a guy who's 40 years old. LeBron now is on the outside looking in. There's only 2 players who are older than 27 on that Lakers team. So now he has to adjust to the fact that the Lakers are going to do what Luka says and not necessarily do what LeBron wants.
It's a 15-year age difference in LeBron James turning 40 last December. Luka Doncic, again, 25 years old. How about this? The Lakers and the Mavericks, they play later this month on the 25th. Then again on April 9th. David Dennis Jr. joining the program this morning on SportsCenter. D, much appreciated. We enjoy your perspective.
Hey, Mom, sorry for the late message. It's been absolutely crazy here. And this morning, I went for a run on Kailua Beach and saw the most insane sunrise. I sent some photos. And then this afternoon, we worked on another Black Hawk. My new unit is amazing. I'm learning a ton. And guess what? You called it. I'm going surfing on Sunday. And we're going to... All right. Yeah, cool. Be right there. I gotta go. I'll see you next week. I love you.
Learn how you can be all you can be at GoArmy.com.
As for the Lakers as then constructed, taking on the New York Knicks, that means LeBron at MSG, winners of 7 and 9 coming in. LeBron averaging 28 points per at MSG, third most all time, trailing Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. First quarter, it's James. Floater high off the glass, it goes. He's getting going early on. Remember, there's no AD in this one. He's out with the abdominal strain and then out with the, eventual trade. So perhaps out with a broken heart. No, but it's James driving, paint. Yeah, 16 in the first half. Third quarter.
Injuries to him.
Jared Vanderbilt. No. We're not trying to call this trade off. Somebody's got to pass a physical, right? There's LeBron, one-legged 3. He had 3 threes. Had a 30-point triple-double as a visitor in 2010 with the Heat.